Morning. Commissioner Beecham, Commissioner Harvey, and myself present today. The judge and Commissioner Mahler are absent. So
I would make the motion to appoint Jeff Watts as mayor, or not mayor. We'll make him mayor too. I don't think Stephen Sandrino would mind.
Pumpkin Center. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. And with that, we'll open up with prayer this morning. If you'll join us, Commissioner Beecham.
Pray with me, please. Father God, Lord, we just come to you today, Lord, as a thankful people, Lord, thankful to live in the greatest country ever on the face of the planet, Lord. We pray for those that are in the highest of leadership in our country, Lord, that they would guide us in the way that you would see fit, Lord, that they would look to you for guidance and inspiration, Lord. We would pray that for this body as well, Lord, that we would look to you for the ultimate guidance in how we deal with the county's business, Lord. Lord, there are some that are hurting and in need of healing, Lord. Brother Lee has brought a friend of his to attention, Mr. Sid Mullins, Lord, who is hurting and his family's hurting, Lord. We pray for your healing and comforting power over their family today, Lord. Lord, we pray for our officers, Lord, our first responders, Lord, who are out there on a daily basis there to take care of our community, Lord. And we pray for our armed forces, Lord, that are stationed around the world there to protect us, Lord, and keep us free. Lord, we just pray your blessings on us today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas Pledge. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, to Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Take your seats, please. Thank you, Mark, for that prayer, and I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda with one correction to item 2. Nancy brought to my attention that the wording should be paid from Department 426 to the line determined by the county auditor. I believe it wasn't listed that way.
It says 436.
Yeah, it should be 426.
Make the motion that we approve the consent agenda with the noted items.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. We'll move on to general business review and approve the regular bills for payment.
After reviewing the bills on Friday, I would make the motion that we approve our regular bills for payment.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Harvey to pay the bills as presented as we reviewed on Friday. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. Moving us to item 2, discuss, consider, and take action on possible overtime for the Sheriff's Office personnel due to jail school in August 2018 and allow for temporary relocation of jail inmates. Will and Lisa, if y'all would.
We will be starting a jail school on August 6th and it'll run through August 27th. We had 8 jailers going to attend it. We tried to get 12, but it was going to run some staffing issues, additional staffing issues. Currently, we are 6 positions short with 1 pending or turned in notice, plus 1 OJI, 1 military leave, and 1 federal leave. So we're basically 10 people short in jail. We have 8 that's going to start next Friday. So they will be accountable on the sheets on the 25th of August. We have an additional 6 that should be starting on the 17th. That will get us, and it should be counted at head count on September 1st. With the 409 in 2018, we will fill that, and we'll get some into the 2019, the money that the judge had talked about earlier, that we didn't spend. So staffing's coming together by the end of August. However, with the jail school going on, we're gonna be short on experienced jailers.
Right.
How long do the new staff?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Of training with
Right.
an experienced officer. And, you know.
So they won't really count
They
towards
don't
staffing
count,
for 2 weeks. so.
Exactly, they don't count for 2 weeks once they start. So at the earliest, those 8 will start as a head count on the 25th. So that'll be right at the end of the jail school.
Right.
Jail school's the 6th to the 27th. Our proposal is to close 2 housing units and ship those individuals to LaSalle to another jail, which will save you 90 shifts of work. Save about $15,000 in overtime just right there. I know there's an expense, and the expense is costly to ship them out of county. It's roughly $65,000. But we've been running so short-handed that the additional 8 people gone on top of the 5, and that goes back to 18 short. August, even with the people starting. So we'll be shorter, but at the end of the month, we'll be back on full staff plus that we've been allotted. That makes any sense. So what we're asking.
8-3 and 8-4 is closed.
Yeah, we've had that closed now for about 4 months, and we're asking to close 2 more units. We've been able to do classification not to have to open up those 2.
Right.
So if we move the 32 units out, that's an additional 90 shifts that we don't have to pay overtime for fill.
So our cost to send everybody to Beaumont, Texas is $65,000.
Yes, sir.
And closing those units is gonna save $15,000 in overtime.
Yes, sir.
Is there another solution?
No, other than, we can keep it open, but we're just gonna be, we've been running our shifts, our staff's so short-handed for such a long time. We're just trying to still give them a little bit of break, a little bit of catch-up. And then hopefully by the end of August, we will have that additional staffing. But,
That's just the overtime savings.
Yeah.
What's the total cost? How many total shifts?
it's 90 shifts total
90
by
shifts.
closing 2 pods.
But they'll actually be still on their
They'll
regular
be filling
pay.
somewhere else, yes. So if we had left them on those pods, we'd have to bring somebody in to fill where they would be short at.
Well, I'm just doing simple math. I would rather spend $15,000 in overtime than $65,000 transport, or send the president.
And I understand that.
I mean,
You know,
that's a
We're just
lot.
trying to give the staff a little bit of a break.
In 2 weeks in August though, they'll have it, right?
No, not till the 25th of August.
Oh, almost a whole month.
Yeah, it's almost a whole month. Before we get the first 8 that will start on the 10th of August, it's still 2 weeks after that before they can count as a head count, as a
Yeah.
body. That's the thing, is once we started, we got FTO, and then it takes a couple weeks to get through the FTO. So with that process, even if we hired 14 people, the first part of August, they won't really count as a head count till the end of August,
Yeah.
because we gotta give them some training.
Right.
Can't put them in the jail.
And the 65,000, Will, is for just the 2-week period?
Or
Or,
it's for a 4-week period. Now, we could squeeze that down, that would be August 1st to August 31st or 30th. And we could squeeze it down tighter to like August the 6th to August the 28th and save 6 or 7 days worth of pay on that.
That's a lot.
what is that?
It's a lot of difference.
Oh, it is,
Different.
there's a big difference, I understand that.
And when we get fully staffed at the end of August, then our folks will get a break and they'll have to put in all that overtime.
Yes, sir, they'll start really looking good then.
Go, guys.
Is there something we're missing, Will, that may be savings here that we haven't thought about?
You know, by closing the 2 the 8-3 and 8-4 we've had closed now for, like I said, since, I think, April. We've been able to do that through classification, so we've saved the money there and saved the shifts. So you think 4 months, we've saved 360 shifts of overtime, just having that one unit closed. So by closing another unit, we can save an additional 90 shifts. So that's the only thing we can come up with, is we're asking to give the jailers a little bit of relief. We know since the first year that we've been running short. We run as many as 18 short, and basically that's what, with the jail school going, that's basically what we're gonna be at again, 18.
Well, I'm just thinking if we can just go another 30 days and not spend 65 grand and we're staffed, then they'll be getting the pressure to be off.
Does the math hold true if you did half of the amount?
At half the amount, it would come out 32,000, it'd still be upside down by 15,000. But if we could send them out for a 2-week period, that would still help.
If we did them for the 2-week period, my math's saying if I just take 65 by 4 is 16, a little over 16,000 a week.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking at 32 versus, would we still, what
Well, the
kind of
overtime would be cut in
overtime?
half,
less?
and you'd only be looking at about $7,500 in overtime. It's upside down either way you
I
look
just
at
feel like it's too big a swing. I understand what we're doing, what we're trying to do, but that's a substantial cost to the taxpayer.
I understand that.
Do we know where we stand as it is today with budgeted overtime and where we're at in the mix of things?
On the bottom side of that, completely, it's not even,
It's gone, our
It's-
reserve.
by far.
But don't we, the money actually not setting in Will's or Lisa's line, is it, Willie? I mean, we pull that,
That money comes back out of the salaries that we have not been paying. That money can be moved down and
Yeah.
covered the overtime. Plus, we're saving by we don't have to have health insurance for those employees for that many a month.
That's the total package.
Sure, the total package of it, so we're actually saving, we have the money in there.
It's just not enough to cover the cost. It's a savings, but it's just short. It's kind of like going out or working overtime.
and our school kicks in on the
August 6th.
6th, so it's
27th,
coming on us
4 weeks
quick.
and 1 day of the 4th week.
And
Could we make it another 30 days, but running like we're running and save that money?
You're asking to, I mean,
We're this close,
yes, sir, we are.
and to spend 65 grand right here at the finish line,
do
it's just hard to do.
we meet Wednesday again? And are we too late to post anything? And then Friday again as well, Will? But I just wondered if Will and Lisa could maybe re-strategize if there were additional options or other thoughts that, and I know y'all probably wrecked it over 100 times,
Yeah,
but
and see, our jail population has decreased steadily
It-
since
I
March.
noticed.
It has
it
some
keeps on
500
staying on the top
Average
side.
days, I think this morning was 476, 478.
478.
470. So, it's
Come back off
first
the
year,
breeze.
it's a little over 400, so we've gone up 60 or 70
Right.
people since the first year on daily average.
I remember getting those jail reports, and it was bumping 530, 540, 550, and I'm going, holy smokes, where are you putting all those people? And because I understand about the segregation part.
Classification.
Classification part. Well, you are segregating them by classification.
Yes.
So my point is, I get that, and you'd have to have you get 650 people, you'd have to have a jail
Instigate, segregate.
huge to accommodate the classification.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think a lot of people understand. When you got 600 beds, you got 600 prisoners,
But Joe.
it don't work like that. It doesn't work like that, so.
Well, what's your thoughts, man?
I'd like to finish in August and see what we got to do. That's what I'd like to do. I mean, we've come this far, we're right at the end, and to just jump up and spend 65,000, it's hard to do, it's hard for me to do that.
Yes, sir, I understand.
And knowing how hard they worked, and how close they've come, I'm just gonna ask them for a little bit, another 3 weeks to save 65 grand. That's my thoughts right now.
Before a vote is said, may I say something? So for, I don't know, since 2010, I worked here, and we've been short-staffed. We've been fighting the staffing issue ever since then. So my concern is that we haven't put enough value on the staff, okay? I'm not saying that you don't value our people. What I'm saying is, until this point, we've never asked for this type of accommodation. I don't think I've ever been here.
I don't think.
When we've housed people out of county because of the burden that it causes, okay? You have to forgive me, I've got a pretty bad headache this morning, so. If I remember correctly, the reason this got brought up is because we're having staffing issues, not because of the overtime. We know that there is no comparison in the dollar. Okay, we knew that when we had the initial meeting. I said right here, and we talked about it and we said, we know it's lopsided. I don't remember who all was in that meeting, but we weren't asking to save money. We knew we weren't asking to save money. That was never the question. That was never the problem. Okay, that's why we have overtime meetings every other week to talk about the money. This meeting was because we're trying to save our staff. That was the issue. And this was the solution that we had come up with, was to house out of county so that we could save our staff. You see, if you don't save the staff, they leave, right? If they're not happy, they leave. So this solution that we came up with was to save them so that we don't have this deficit in staffing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because of the overworking them in this period of time.
For years now, I've never had a chance to say this in a group where it actually mattered, but I think this is probably the time. As long as you're short, you're going to have overtime.
Yeah.
As long as the staff feel like they're overworked and they're getting beat down, they're going to quit and go other places. We see that every day. We're getting hired staff. People are still leaving. They're still going other places. I do the exit interview, so I get to talk to them about it. Okay? And a lot of it is overtime. It's never really the deciding factor, but it definitely contributes. So I guess the reason I'm standing up here and talking is because we know we can't compete with the dollar, but that's not why we're asking for this accommodation. We're asking for this accommodation to save our officers so that down the road, not 30 days from now, we're hoping 30 months from now, we're going to be able to build that foundation up and hit that fully staffed. So when you hit the fully staffed, they actually get the relief. Sure. But if we don't actually get a little bit of relief to help us along the way, then I fear we're just going to be in the same revolving door. I know we're not going to be able to compete with the dollar. We're upside down on the dollar. I already know that, but I don't think that's why this issue got brought up.
You do the exit interviews. Do we have them fill out an exit interview so we could actually see the data instead of hearing it?
No. I just have a
I mean, it would be really helpful for us to rather than hearsay data, to actually see it, so we can quantify that.
Okay. Well, that's the fact that I didn't get up here to talk about.
No, I understand. No, I'm not saying anything bad. It's a lot easier if I have it written down in front of me. If everyone that's left, I left because I'm working 40 hours overtime a week. And I'm going to have somebody tell me that that's what they said. I don't know if that's true or not.
I hope that you can trust me.
I didn't say I didn't trust you. I didn't say I didn't trust you, but it's easier for me to
you didn't. I just said I hope that you do.
I have no reason not to.
Well, Willie, let me ask, is there something on the map that you see different than what the Sheriff's Office is seeing? I mean, do you see a take on this that may have different findings? And can you tell me as compared to this point of the game over last year, where overtime was not, it was seemed to be far higher than what it is today. Where are we at in that mix?
Look at the figures, give you an answer.
But don't we anticipate it being greatly less than what it was last year, just from a oversight management point where they kept it at bay?
Also, the hope and reality are two different things.
But nothing stands out to you on this map that we're missing as far as this 15,000 opposed to 65,000?
The most expensive thing you can do is to ship people out to other counties or other facilities. It's the most expensive thing you can do, because not only do you have the per diem charge, but you also got the transportation and the back and forth.
I think that's included in our deal with LaSalle.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a flat rate.
I just did a look around the room to see if training was here. You know, they do all the hiring and they do all the hiring interviews, they do a lot of the training, and I want to be correct on this, but since since I've been here, I've only known 2 weeks that we've been, I guess, fully staffed.
That is correct.
Okay, so about 2 weeks. So in that 2 weeks, that's 2 weeks out of how many weeks that I've worked at Wichita County. We continue to go down. Now, I could get into a whole different subject about
Let's be,
how we're not
housing
staffed.
prisoners out of town does not solve that problem.
What part? Which one?
Being understaffed for only 2 weeks
But it
since
helps.
you've been here.
But it helps. Do you know why it helps? Do you know why?
It changes the staffing number requirements.
No, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with morale. If you are continuing to overwork your staff, they're going to have low morale and less incentive to stay here. That's the only reason I'm standing right here, is because of morale. I've already told you, we can't solve the dollar problem. I know that. That's not why we had this conversation. But money has a lot to do with this, and I know that. But I've been here for 8 years. 2 weeks of those 8 years, we've been fully staffed, sort of. But if you look at all the staffing analysis that we've had, we've never met the state's requirement for our staffing analysis. So even when we're fully staffed, we're still understaffed and overworked because of the staffing issue. This is why we had this conversation, to save the staff.
So we need to work on the staffing issue. We don't need to send prisoners out of town. We got to figure out what we're doing is not working, so let's do something different.
That was the reason for sending folks out of town, so that our staff, okay, I don't understand if I'm making myself clear.
No, I do, and I understand that it's a reprieve for the staff, and it'll be a
Okay.
great benefit to them to encounter this not so stressful.
You made a comment to ask for one more month from them. Right, you said.
I mean, we're going to be, we're going to be looking really good at the end of August,
As
right?
long as we have no one else resign.
Right. But we're going to continue to recruit,
We are.
okay? We're never going to let up, because we know we got a revolving door. I cannot myself justify spending $65,000 of taxpayer money for the 3-week period, just for morale. We've been doing it for the 8 years you've been here.
And it's working great.
We're a month away from that reprieve that you're talking about. I just can't justify it.
Well, I can't justify just sitting here and not saying anything to you about it.
It's okay, that's why you're here.
We're protecting our people.
I care, you know, we stood up in some courts about this new jail, not courts, but in meetings for the new jail, and I said it then, I'll say it again, I care about my county family, I care about my officers, so I cannot sit in silence without telling you that without this, it's going to hurt more. I believe it will hurt more, okay? I thought that this was solved already. I thought that we had already had an agreement. I understand you got to go to court for stuff like this, but I thought in the meeting that we had we had built a solution for the morale issue, but it's changed. It's no longer about the morale.
Look, I could meet you halfway.
I mean, does that
Does that help? I mean, does that change the needle in any way, going halfway?
We had to crunch the numbers. I was always on the officer side when it came to the morale issue when it came to crunching numbers, that was somebody else.
I view it, and I understand Commissioner Harvey's thoughts totally, and they are in line with the money spending part of my mind, but at the same time, I know y'all have done a tremendous job of reviewing and looking and watching overtime and catching it at every corner, and this picture of this year is so much better because people are paying attention to what's going on and managing overtime in the way that it should be done, and I think our savings is such that it gives us some freeboard that we didn't have. Last year would have been horrendous to add that to the mix. I don't see this as a jail cost as much as I see it just thrown into the pool of overtime. I mean, it's just an added overtime expense when we move these prisoners. So, I mean, I'm open because of that, because y'all have diligently managed, and I always comment to Will every single, that's the first thing I look at, the total hours it takes to operate a jail, and I can tell you, in Wichita County, you know, for 450 people being in jail, you're going to give or take spend 12,000 hours a pay period managing 450-ish inmates. That's just the nature of the beast.
Whenever we were so inundated last year, and we're doing so much better this year, but last year, whenever we were just killing our people, we didn't ask for this. And now we're doing so much better, and now we're asking to spend $65,000.
Well, Lee, I think that falls into the line of managing through the thought processes. I think it was a whirlwind of such. We were riding a whirlwind that thought processes didn't come into play. And now that they're sitting down and saying, you know, here, this, and this, these thought processes are more coming into action. And so I know it was a whirlwind, and it was a hard animal to get control of, and Will and did that immediately. I think that there's no two ways about that, and they prepared a plan as the team, and it's working. So I feel like even though the cost is there, that we have reduced hours as much as 300 and 400 and 600 hours per pay period. Unreal.
Total hours.
Are you thinking that gives us some extra money to play with?
I think that if they feel like this is a critical move, and that's what I'm hearing from Lieutenant, is that it's a critical point, that it's a benefit that they want to pull into the mix, because we've had a tremendous savings over year. I'm entertaining it because they've done a diligent job of managing.
And they have still far exceed their budget.
But bear in mind, Lee, we really don't budget the overtime dollars. We don't set that into the budget to say, here's what overtime's going to run. We always pull it from the general fund.
We have our history, and we average our history, and we do put overtime dollars into the budget.
But not enough to cover the full overtime burden.
That we historically know. I mean, just like last year, you know, we could look at overtime that we didn't budget for this year near compared to the dollars we spent. Of course, we intend to pull that down, or hopefully we can get inside that line, but they have diligently worked that.
It's a lot better.
We're asking for 3
Still
weeks.
got a long ways to go.
We had originally asked for a month.
For a month?
A month, but,
Right.
you know, we talked about even narrowing it down some. That would be, you know, if we did the 6th through the, I don't know, let me get the calendar out. You know, ideally, the month is the better. But if you did it through the 6th, and you weren't returning back on the 20th, then on the 25th, we will have 8 that will be a head count, so we would have a week there that, you know, we would still be running really short on. Ideally, you know, we would ask for the full month, but that's going to be up to y'all to decide. And while we're at that, if we jump down to the next discussion, there's going to have to be some work that's going to have to be done in those pods. So,
While we have the reprieve.
We have 8.3 and 8.4 empty right now,
Yes, sir.
so you can do this work in 8.3 and 8.4.
Yes, sir.
And when the 8.3 and 8.4 is complete, you can move those prisoners into 8.3 and 8.4 and work on the other two pods, could you not?
Yeah.
So you can shuffle around inside yourself without
There's
sending
four
people
sets
out.
of pods that have to be done.
Now, what did we do? Well, I'll wait till we get to that item, but I mean, that's my take on that. And Rowdy, do you have anything to add to this mix as far as this staff situation goes? I know you work diligently to pull and train these people in.
Well, I mean, we like the chief said, you know, we're close to meeting the numbers they need to be at. But even once they get started, you're still looking at about 3 weeks before they're considered to be able to work on their own, so they're not accountable to the numbers. And, you know, like Lieutenant Spiegel said, you know, I started where they did, so I know exactly what he's talking about. You know, we pushed jail school back 2 or 3 different times so that we wouldn't put the burden on staff.
Yeah.
But I'm close to where some of these jailers, or their temporary licenses are about to expire, which means we gotta let them go. So we either face it and deal with it, or we let staff go and just, you know, we're gonna be down more than what we're at already. You know, the state
Expand on
mandates,
that temporary.
the state mandates that when we hire somebody, they have 1 year from the day they start to get a full license. So, the last year to this year, I've been working hard to get more jail schools through. Well, when that happens, of course, you know, it creates overtime issues. It creates issues where staff work 16, 24 extra hours a week or more. So, you know, I'll sit down with the staff and we'll talk about it, and I'll do what I think is best. And that is, if I have to move it back, I'll move it back. But when my back's to the wall and I have no more months to go,
Yeah.
what do we do?
And we're gonna have to run another one in the fall, because obviously we had a ton of new hirees in the last year, that they're all coming up. They have to have that year, they have to have that jail.
Brad,
school.
can you give me an example of a day in jail school? Is it a web-based program? Are they?
No, so this is all curriculum material that the state gives us that we have to teach our staff on the minimum requirements of what TCJS says we need to teach them.
Okay, but is it like in a classroom
Yes,
setting?
it's classroom
It is in the
stuff,
classroom.
every day.
Are there any days out on the floor?
No, sir, it's all classroom-based. Everything we do is classroom-based.
Even towards the end, they don't really get to experience it.
Well, at this point, you gotta understand
Experienced.
that
Yeah.
most time our jail academies will start within the 3rd to 5th month of when they started employment with us already. So they're already working before.
Oh, okay, I got you.
We've never been able to catch up, and that's always been my goal, is to get us caught up to where maybe we could start at the beginning. But when we have these issues, we gotta push back. We gotta
I
push
see.
back, push
I
back.
see.
You don't really want to start at the very beginning because you have some fallout initially,
Mhm.
so you do want to.
You know, so that's why we try to get it within the first
Yeah.
couple of months or so. But, you know, when we run into these issues, you know, and normally it starts with just one person leaving, and all of a sudden you have a little domino effect.
So these staff are working, in a lot of instances, they're working already and then going through the training
Yes, sir.
mandated by the state.
You know, now they will, once they're working, then they go to jail school, and sometimes they're even working to help either like afternoons, like after 5 o'clock shift or on weekends, to help cover some of this short staff that we've been having. So not only are they going to school, but they're also having to come into work just to help cover. And the only time we don't let them work is the day before they have to take any of our course exams, because we need them to pass.
Sure.
You know, it's important for them.
So they, in a lot of instances, are doing both, going to school and
Yes.
working.
Yeah.
And our academies maintain at least a 90 to 95% pass rate,
How we can-
which is very good for us. Our staff has been working hard, and we do our best to do these academies so that it doesn't affect our personnel. But like I said, when your back's against the wall, you gotta do something.
Your school's scheduled to start.
See, I would never even realize they were both going to school and
We do have-
pulling
we have
shifts.
Sometimes they have,
And
yeah.
it ends,
It
Rowdy,
ends on the 27th.
Rowdy, we have kind of the same issue in my industry, working in the chemical plants and refineries. We might have 800 men that we're going to take to ExxonMobil Baytown. ExxonMobil Baytown has training that you have to take.
Mhm.
Okay, and you have to know these minimum, just like the state deal, and it was a classroom setting. Every seat had a computer. And every computer, you put the headphones on, you watch the video, they read the questions, they give answers, and then at the end of that section, you took a test. And if you missed the test, the video went right back to the question that you missed, and it went over it with you again. And then you took the test again. Each section had a test, and at the end of it, it had a master. It was computer-based, and everybody did it individually. We didn't have to wait and have one. There's no way we could have done it. Get 800 people in there and get them trained. So we'd send them in there, 50 a day, Monday through Friday, top deal. Some in the morning, some in the evenings, and that allowed us to get our mandated training. It documented the fact that they understood the question and they answered the question properly. And then at the end, they took a master test that covered all that stuff. All of it was documented. And we didn't have to wait to have a jail school. Each person could do it on an individual basis. The day they got hired, they could start doing their computer-based training, which is basically the same thing you're doing. It's a bunch of laws and regulations, know this, know that, right? Mm-hmm. I wonder if we could have examined the way we do that so that we could possibly do, like you say, start training on the first day.
The only web training that TECO right now
create our own.
TECO uses is TEACS.
TEACS.
And TEACS right now carries a 75% passing rate on the state exam. I don't know how.
That ain't too good.
I don't know how the state has allowed them to continue to do it, but I would never like TEACS. I've never been for using TEACS for this. In fact, we've had a conversation before where they wanted to, and I was opposed to it because I can't, how we're going to justify if we drop below a 90 or 85% pass rate, we lose our contractual agreement with the state.
Yeah, I get that.
And then we lose being the only training hub within this area for all the smaller counties. So we've improved how we've done things. We've minimized the amount of class hours from last year to this year to save.
I remember that.
Kind of a side to this, TECO just recently passed, or going to pass, a new curriculum, which is going to increase from 96 to 124 hours of jail school, which is going to increase us from 124 to 142 hour jail school. And the only reason is because we do a lot of testing in there. We prep them. We want to make sure they pass. So we put every single effort we can.
Yeah.
But it just, today's deal just deals with the fact that do we allow them one more month of multiple overtimes, or do we say, what, let's do this time? Once we get done, we should be in a better situation. And like me and Commissioner Beecham talked one day, when you have an unemployment rate at 3% or under, it's hard to find people. And I'm thankful that I'm able to find what I have found to get it to this point by the end of August.
But a lot of these people in jail school, under what you're proposing here this morning, would not necessarily have to pull a shift and just
if we
go
get
to
this
school.
now, that means that that will be overtime that we don't have to worry about too.
Right.
So it benefits, and I understand the concern with the morale. I understand that why should we do this for morale? It's more of the health, the physical mindset of our officers who are drained, who are tired. I have officers that go to college besides working with us, and I have some that are leaving because they can't do this many overtimes going to college. So there's a lot of effects that this has happened.
Okay. Well, I would make the motion that we approve this for the weeks of August 6th, August 13th, and August 20th.
So cut 1 week out of it is basically.
That will take us, you have jail school on one day on the following week.
So from August 6th to what was the end of the day?
The weeks of August 6th, 13th, and 20th.
So 3 full weeks.
3 full weeks?
That would probably bring us down under $50,000 probably expenditure.
Somewhere right in there.
I think y'all done a fantastic job of keeping overtime in check.
Doing everything we can.
But I also see each 2 weeks when we look at the payroll, and we're still having officers that are working 40-plus hours overtime in a 2-week period. That's concerning to me.
So during this August month, we'll have 0 overtime in the jail?
I know.
So we're gonna spend $5,000 and we're gonna continue to have overtime?
Yes, sir.
Just be reduced greatly though, at least by, at this rate. We're talking about what, 35 to $4,000 weekly in overtime. But that seems shy to me, that seems light. If you were talking about $15,000 in overtime for the month, and so we're talking $3,500 a week, basically, it really seems light, Will, for, are you sure
Shoot the
that
calculator back
calculation?
out.
Do what?
$5,000 divided by 3 is about 3,500.
No, 15,000 for the month.
Oh, for the month.
Is what he's saying
Yeah.
is a savings in overtime, but that seems light when I think about it.
Well, if you take, by closing that one pod, 3 shifts a day, now we do it for 21 days, then so that's 3 times 21, it's gonna give you 63 shifts, and times 8 hours overtime. That's how many hours overtime will come up that you'll save. I don't have a calculator.
63 times 8
Mhm.
is the math. But isn't that 63 times 8 for like 480 hours times 20?
So 504 hours, and on that last 2-week deal, the average overtime was like $24 an hour.
So what is that? 10,000?
$12,096. $12,000.
So you're close on the money, and you're saying it's going to be a little better than that,
Probably, it'd
probably.
be right close to that, yeah, just by closing that additional pod for the 3 weeks.
And is there other, what do you think outside of the morale issue initially, and is there some lingering? Well, we should continue to pull overtime once we come out of this or bring people
Once we
home.
get to September, and everybody gets to count as a head count, and we see that first Wednesday or first time or second time we meet in September, we should see where the numbers, true numbers are gonna be at.
Overtime should drop off gradually.
And knowing your number, Will, and what that historically is, what do you think we're probably can pull ourselves into in this last half of the year?
I would love to see less than 1,000, but I would hope we think 800. You know, our average overtime would run around 700 to 800 hours. I think in December, we were pretty good staffing when I first came to this position. And the very first one I came to was like 800 hours, 750 or 760 hours overtime, and it slowly went up as we started losing people. And now we're at 2,000 hours overtime.
You would think you could get back underneath?
That's my goal, yes, absolutely. Plus, with the additional personnel, we should definitely be able to do that. Because the 10 additional personnel we didn't have back in December, 409 for 2018 and 409 for 2019, we didn't have those bodies on the floor. So,
Well, that again will be another, we've got 5, at least 10, 11 pay periods left, I guess, to cut out that.
big chunks of it.
That's 12,000 hours of overtime if you hit your mark. I mean, potentially, a lot of money.
Would we transport them back over the weekend, on that last weekend?
We'll just have to work that out with LaSalle and see what day they would bring it back.
Save an additional, at least 2 days.
Absolutely.
And then you'd have 1 day with running jail school with it open.
Any more thoughts?
Money's hard to justify, but y'all have done everything to keep things under control this year. And moving forward, it looks like you're planning to minimize the overtime. Like in this one instance,
It's more about
I
the
think
employee
it's,
now.
I think it's a life, health, safety issue in my mind, so that's why I put the motion out there for the 6th, 13th, and 20th, and if we can minimize that over the weekends, that would be helpful.
Okay, I'll second that motion and call for a vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no.
Nope.
Motion carries 2-1. Thanks, Will.
I'm gonna stay up there for the next one too.
Item 3 is discuss, consider, and take action to approve NRB construction proposal dated June the 18th, 2018 to install water stop at 8 showers at the Sprague Jail Annex at a cost of $7,784 to be paid from 100-512-4452. Repair and maintenance, building by transfer from Department 512 supply and operations line or from the general fund contingency if needed.
This is the water stops again in the high 8s, or the 8s over there at the annex. You know, we first proposed this the first year, it was recommended that we had our staff install the stops, and it worked. Granted, they did a good job at work, however, it did not pass jail inspection, and they had to come up. So with that saying done, we had till August 2nd to come up with a proposal to fix it, which is coming up pretty quick, Thursday. And we bring back the same bid we brought back in the spring. It hasn't the first bid was actually done in October 6, 2016. So we've been 18 months trying to get this done.
We'll walk us back through. We did something to those.
Yes, we put a seal down that worked. And we had our 2 minute guys doing it. But when the jail inspection came along in April, they said that wasn't too.
Okay, I'm sorry because I'm confusing too. I thought I was talking about hard stops on the water line. You're talking about thresholds in the entrance. Okay, my apologies. I was just, because we have installed stops on those showers that we can actually turn that water off for a period of time behind them that we didn't have. I thought that's something Harper and Perkins.
This is just the overflow water
Gotcha.
out into the day area or bunk area for the 8s. We did have our 2 jail maintenance people install some strips. For whatever reason, they didn't pass jail inspection. We were told to take them up. And this apparently has been approved by jail inspection. It's been going on for 18 months. Harper Perkins Architects are ones that set up this contractor and made everything to specs to meet the jail commission standards. So we asked before permission to go ahead with this project and get it done.
Guys, have y'all looked at this proposal? I mean, y'all are familiar with what?
Back when we originally did it, we thought it was ludicrous. Stupid money.
To put this in.
Sheriff agreed, he said, hey, our guys can fix that. And they went in and they did.
But
It wasn't countersunk heads with laminated top and, pretty goody. So we had to tear it out. So, there's can't use any logic, can't justify the money. It's just some inspector said, no, I'm not gonna accept that. Don't spend $8 grand. where we're at. We fixed it, it was working great, didn't have a problem with it. They all the specs, half-inch high, nothing to carry yourself on, wheelchairs to get over it. We didn't have wheelchairs in there though. Wasn't a thing wrong with it, except the inspector just said, it's right, can't have it. So it's just stupid money, but that's where we're at.
So is that a motion?
The motion to spend stupid money. Now, I'll make a motion to as stated here in item 3.
Second. Motion been made and seconded to approve the proposal from NRB Construction. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Will.
You're welcome.
Moving on to item number 4, discuss, consider, and take action to approve proposal for carpet installation and supplies for the 30th District Courtroom at a cost of $9,611.44 from Texas Carpet Outlet to be paid from 100-510 to be decided from courthouse facilities line to be determined by the county auditor.
Yeah, this is to finish out the 3 district courts. It would be the same carpet that's already in the 89th, is scheduled for the 78th. It's the carpet squares, same carpet squares.
This is just a little bigger area than...
Just a little bigger area. I would also like to add about a 5% contingency or around $500 to that, because we did find some things when we were doing the 89th, like the wall trim that was not included in the original bid.
Is this similar to Meredith's?
Yeah, it's carpet squares, but it's just different color. So this would complete the 3 district courts
Considerably, I guess.
Yes.
That's I can't even see that in my mind, but it's a mauve colored, what is it?
I
It's a
don't.
multi-color.
Oh, the color.
Stand on one side of the room, it was one color.
Oh, the color of the carpet. Yeah, it's depends on how you look at it. Yeah, it's got green and burgundy and orange and brown and purple.
But it's
everybody's school, so
it's very aged as well. So, and I know that it's going to be as well as the elevators get carpet too, right? I mean, we're still.
Yeah, that was to Briggles got the bid on that, and I've talked to them. I don't know where they're at on getting it in. So,
is that going to impact us when that has to happen? Is that turnaround quick when they come and do it?
I talked to Judge Bennington. He's gone for a week. Already scheduled vacation. Hopefully we can get this done while he's gone.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's what we did with Judge Bernard.
Okay.
He was scheduled out for a week. So.
Usually when they're gone that long, they have a visiting judge. Court continues on, usually.
But
I'm not letting them schedule it themselves, so it works within their schedule. So.
Okay.
I think they have a conference coming up, so usually all the judges are going to that.
Okay.
Okay. So that would be my motion to actually increase that to 10-1-11-44.
To add 500 for contingency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so I don't have to come back and react.
Gotcha. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Beecham, second by Commissioner Harvey to approve item 4 for carpet installation in the 30th District Courtroom. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you all. We'll move on to item 5 and receive an Amoresco energy update by Commissioner Beecham.
Yeah, we had several long meetings last week on this project. Do have the preliminary pro forma on that project, which shows the total amount to be about $2.6 million.
Yeah.
And that's to replace essentially everything that has to do with energy in this building and at the annex. So air conditioning, chillers, compressors, controls, hot water heaters, boilers, everything. Lights. It'd be lights in all of our county-owned facilities except for the actual precinct barns because it's so minimal. But again, it's all the air conditioners, chillers, everything that uses energy within the courthouse, essentially, for 2.6 over 20-year period, and financing the majority of that out of a guaranteed energy savings. So we're still looking over the pro forma and make sure that it does meet.
When will they come, Commissioner?
It'll be another 2-3 weeks before they finalize the plan.
Then we'll have a review.
Yeah, we changed several of the scopes several times last week in walking through the facilities and drilling down what the actual needs are. For instance, none of our servers had backup air conditioning on them, so we changed the scope to include backup systems for our servers. As we all know, we experienced on tax day when our servers went down because no backup the air conditioning. So
Now, is there any need or is there any use in looking at the conversion of that transformer at what will soon be non-used at the Sprague Annex in this equation to?
no, transformer wouldn't save you any energy at all. The only problem with that transformer is if it does go out.
No, that's what I'm talking about, to convert the project over to TXU's Encores.
There's,
Wouldn't be.
Could be.
There's a-
I know, but should it be in there is my question. I mean, should we change that so that that doesn't affect us, or will it matter? I mean,
I don't know if it would qualify as energy savings.
no.
I don't think it would. The
Yeah.
infrastructure that I think qualifies is the high efficiency.
Yeah, the high
heating
efficiency.
units.
but on that note, just so Meredith, please help us always to remember, if we do have a tenant that comes in, we won't out from under the liability of a lightning storm that would take out the transformer, and then we're on this mission to find a transformer that runs that building
That's
that,
hugely oversized.
yeah. Most transformers are provided by Encore and bringing power. That's not the way this facility was never designed, so, and in big factories, that's what they do. But we won't out from under that burden if the time presents itself.
There is a phase 2 to this project that asked to at least explore the
Okay.
idea, the option of adding a solar plant to the new LEC facility, which essentially would cover the parking facility with a carport, and on top of the carport would be solar, which would almost take that building off grid. Now, that's a phase 2, and
What's
I
the price
haven't,
tag on
I
that?
don't know.
We don't know
Do
yet.
not know yet. But it would be, again, financed out of energy
Well,
savings.
covered parking would also be good for morale. When it's 150 degrees out there, and you go get off work, go get in your car, and then you can touch it, actually touch it.
Well,
That'd be.
Let me ask,
it may not be financially feasible, but I've asked to look at that, just out of,
but on that note, is it possible that someone underwrite for, those projects, solar and wind, and in our country today have a tax credit that investors are wanting? Is it possible to have a third-party investor that receives those tax credits that we wouldn't receive, that would?
Jeff, you're asking me a question that's way over my pay grade, so, but as far as the other project's concerned, they are capitalizing on whatever rebates and tax incentives, et cetera, that are available, so.
Well, great. I appreciate that, Commissioner, and look forward to wrapping that up and having some idea of where we're headed, and the quicker the better.
Well, we did have a professor that's down this morning, so
Where?
they're in the courthouse. So we continue to escalate on our R&M. Just, as I said before, 5 years ago, our R&M was about 42,000. The last 3 years, it's averaged 107,000.
What Mark is in a nutshell saying is that we can basically take our maintenance bills that we've been paying and more than make note payment with and have plenty of leftover. That's not including the residual that lower electricity will have. So it's really a no-brainer in that regard. I'll move Mark on to item 6, law enforcement center update.
Okay, that project is moving at a snail's pace right now. We have had to reschedule receiving the GMP and groundbreaking to receive the GMP budget on September 4th at our regular scheduled Commissioners Court meeting, which is the Tuesday after Labor Day. And the groundbreaking will now be set for September 7th.
Do we have something put into play? Is there a group of you that plan don't we need to have a refreshment deal right afterwards? Maybe something, where.
Why don't you get with Budweiser? And see what you can do.
What about bread and water would be?
But I mean, have y'all thought about that?
No, not this time we haven't.
When we went to Vitro, they took us into one of their larger conference areas, and we had refreshments, and I just surely we have some place to do that.
We've talked about several different options. If anybody has any ideas, I'm all ears. So. But that's the biggest thing to report. We did the walkthrough to create the punch list on the 2 projects that have been completed, which being the parking lot for Vernon College. It's complete, very little on the punch list. Some trees that didn't quite make it through the 110+ degree weather after they were planted that will have to be replanted.
Bless you.
That's the largest thing on it. The fence at the gun range had several issues that will have to be addressed before we accept it for final. But it looks good, it needs some attention. It just fell a little short of being perfect, so. Other than that, everything's moving along. It's just moving along a little slower than we anticipated.
It'll come together.
Yeah.
Now,
just getting that GMP is the big issue.
Mark, we've got that some fill material less than 300 yards over of dirt on close proximity. If as soon as we get caught up, we don't mind to jump in there and move that for someone if that's something that they need.
We may need it. In visiting with the civil on the project, they're anticipating using all the dirt that's on site and moving it. We do have a 15-foot drop from the southeast to the northwest corner, which is basically the footprint of the building. So they're actually digging down on the southeast corner.
So we'll have enough of our own dirt, probably.
What looks like enough, but you know how that dirt is out there. It's got a lot of sandstone and rock in it, but they seem to think
this is a more sandier soil, so it certainly, if it needs to go under concrete, it probably could. Right. Fine. But there's, like I say, 300 yards of it, I think, is what there is.
The problem is out there, when we started digging for the gun range and stuff, it wasn't 2-3 feet. We were in rock, and we busted out some huge rocks up there. And there's still huge rocks. Well, we finally got them off.
No, there's still.
But I mean, some of that we can use, right? Yeah, I was going to say some of it.
But a lot of that, there's not a whole lot of topsoil there.
Well, what is the possibility of when we go down potentially 15, getting into any water? I mean, do we?
We're not going down 15.
No, we're not going down 15.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going down.
We're going to go like down here and up over here.
Oh, okay.
Plus the building is designed that it's not a flat building. It's got ramps throughout to change the elevation, so as to not have to do as much dirt.
I see.
But it is moving along. And September 4th and September 7th will now be the dates.
Okay.
as long
Great.
as I don't hear
Everybody
any-
put those down, and we'd sure like everybody to attend and be a part of that, so. And we'll get our notices out. Nancy, if you can make note to run what announcement we need to do, or to let everyone know. With that, I'll move to the public comment section of our meeting. Is there anyone in the audience that has anything, any comment to add or visit about this morning?
I want to comment on the fact that they trimmed the trees this weekend, and it looks good over on the east side, so.
About 3 more weeks of that, and they'll have everything looking tip-top.
Well, it looks good.
So if anybody needs any firewood, there's some stacked up out there.
Hey.
It's free for the taking, by the
Man,
way.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it looks like good wood. I'll sure like to burn that. What is that?
There's
Some of it's oak.
Some of it's oak,
No,
some
it's
of,
not oak.
there's pear, there's pear, and
Pear, yeah. That'll be a good fire.
Commissioner Beecham,
I have nothing else.
Commissioner Harvey.
Coming up August 9th, we're gonna cook, the Redneck Culinary Academy is gonna cook for the Burke-Burnett Independent School District. We'll feed about 400 parents at noon on August the 9th.
What is that? What is the event?
August the 9th is the grand opening of the new elementary school that Burke-Burnett has built. It's called Overton Ray, and they're gonna close down Hardin. And so they're having an in-service over there August the 9th with all the teachers. And then at open house is from 6 to 8. And they'll have a dedication ceremony.
What happens to Hardin? It will still be used as a facility?
Well, storage,
That's it?
some administrative offices, but yeah. Something else is going on. We can't remember. I can't remember what it was.
I thought there was one other one
Something
as
else.
well, other than the 9th. The 8th, isn't there something?
No, October.
Oh.
But that's the Early Childhood Coalition. And there's something else in Burke, I can't think what it is.
If you think of it, bring it up. I wanted to comment, talk to the Fire Chief Yerste in Pumpkin Center. They were on their 5th day of their 6th fire, and the toll that it's playing on them is pretty horrific, just as far as the manpower drain and the equipment drain that it's taken, and they've sure been busy bunch, as has everyone in that arena, fighting fires that are popping and spreading, and the wind pushes it tremendously, but they've done a great job, but they are wore out. So I'd just ask him to keep me posted on that and how that was coming. Our chip sealing, we finished the projects in the Pumpkin Center, Electra area of the county, and they've moved back to that south of Iowa Park area now, and we'll be putting seal chip on the Huntington Road project and getting it wrapped up. So everybody's been great to help us and get that to come. We're going to conclude with a little over 15 miles of seal chipping done, so we're tickled about that, and it's been very good. So
Jeff, back on the volunteer fire departments. Well, we had a request. They had run 9 tires.
Carlin's trying to find some.
Yeah, would you see how he's doing on the 1033 program? They're 920s is what the volunteer fire departments need on their grass trucks, 920s. And if we can locate those, I'm sure that we can find some volunteers that would go pick them up.
For those decent half tires, right?
Yeah, 920s.
And that just, and Commissioner Harvey brought up the other day, and it's something that I think we certainly want to revisit, but in this special district,
9.
what is the official name?
County Assistance District.
County Assistance District. which works like 4A or 4B tax money does, but it would give a reprieve to fire departments to some extent, the allocation of some of those dollars towards that effort, because let me tell you, $5,000, I would be elated to have a truck bill for $5,000 compared to some of I see. And Pumpkin Center, that's what they get from us, $5,000. Now, if there's a blown motor, it wouldn't touch it, wouldn't begin to touch it. And so, you know, something like that coming along, and Lee is working with the county clerk to determine a time frame for reconsideration of such a thing, but it would sure be a valuable asset to have that and to help fund some of these things, because these costs continue to escalate, and there's just no way to keep up with them, and these guys are stranded on their own to come up with these dollars. So
So support your local volunteer fire department if you can.
While we're on the subject of local volunteer fire departments, we did have Emergency Management Office poll the chiefs last week to see if they were wanting to go into a burn ban, and I have not heard back from the Emergency Management Office as a result of that poll, so I'll check with them this afternoon.
we're probably very close to considering that, I guess.
Yeah, we did, the week that we were over 110, we did reach the KDVI index, so.
Well, if there's nothing further, we'll move into the closed session portion of our meeting.
I think.
I just have a
yeah,
question for the court. We're 25 days away, 25, 26 days away from Modern Hill. Is the county rest area going to be the same place that it has been the past couple of years, or do we know yet?
Yes, it's the same place.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
But they were talking about moving the tent back.
Okay.
Off the road, further off the road.
So just setting it up a little different in the same location.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bikes that pile up right there.
Yeah.
But Daryl cuts the grass.
Any of those drinks, water and Cokes, or maybe we could be long and use them for refreshments at the, bear that in mind. I'm saying if anything will carry over for our refreshments at the grand opening or the ribbon cutting, I mean.
Like the watermelons, we can just keep the watermelon.
Not the watermelon, the Cokes and waters or any of that kind of things, non-perishables.
Probably ribs.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Thank you very much, guys.
Session, no recording.